Good morning, students. Today we are going to do the revision of our previous chapter which we had studied in the month of April. That is chapter 1, which is reproduction in organisms. Okay, so we are going to start with our chapter reproduction in organisms. In this chapter, we had seen that the first most important thing about living organism is that all the living organism is having a particular lifespan. Now what is the lifespan or the life cycle? Every living organism performs a life cycle, and that life cycle includes a lifespan. Okay, now what is life cycle? Life cycle of an animal or plant is the series of changes or development that is passed through from the beginning of its life until its death. Okay, now what is the life cycle? Life cycle as a series of changes which takes place in the life of the organism from the birth to the death. Okay, every living organism is having a particular lifespan. Okay, lifespan is the duration. Now what is the lifespan? It is the time period from the birth to the natural death of an organism. Okay, it is a time period from birth to the natural death of the organism. Now, it is not related that, and it is not necessary that the size of the organism depends on its लाइफ ओके यानी कि एक छोटे से छोटा भी ऑर्गेनिज्म है इट कैन सर्वाइव अप टू 30-40 years, but the other organism which is having such a big shape or the size of the body may not have that much lifespan. Okay, so in this lifespan the most important thing is the reproduction. Okay, we are going to study in detail about all these. Acha, all these diagrams which you are seeing in the screen, you people had done it as homework. I'll give you questions related to this. Okay, I'll give you some questions related to this in your revision. Clear? Now, the next most important thing is the reproduction. Okay, now what is reproduction? It is a biological process in which organisms give rise to young ones of or the offspring similar to itself. Okay, what is this? What is reproduction? Reproduction is defined as the biological process in which an organism give rise to young ones. Okay, now reproduction is essential for the organisms. Do you think? Yes, reproduction is essential. Why? First, it maintains life on earth. It enables continuity of species. If there is no reproduction, that species will be the last one to survive on this earth. Okay, so reproduction should be there. Now, creates variation among population. Reproduction creates variation among population. Otherwise, all the population will be of the same types. Okay, it can be categorized. Now, reproduction can be categorized into two ways. One is the sexual reproduction, another one is the asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, okay, what is asexual reproduction? It is a phenomenon of producing the offsprings, okay, by a single parent without the formation and fusion of gametes. Okay, asexual reproduction is production of offsprings by a single parent without the formation and fusion of the gametes. Okay, it involves only mitotic cell division. Okay, it involves only mitotic cell division. So we can say that offsprings produced by this method, okay, which method? Mitotic method, is exactly identical or the copy of its parents. That's why we can call it as the clone. Okay, we can call it as the clone. Why? Because they are totally similar, exactly similar in structure, function, or we can say morphologically and genetically. Okay, biological language, we can say the simple word, it is morphologically and genetically similar to their parents. Okay, so they are known as clone, and clones are produced in asexual reproduction. Okay, we all know different types of asexual reproduction. What is this diagram refers to you? This diagram, can you remember? It is budding. Okay, budding is seen in east. Okay, budding is seen in east, whereas the another diagram is the diagram of, what is this? This is amoeba. In amoeba, which type of reproduction takes place? It is binary fission. Amoeba reproduce by the process of binary fission. Okay. Now, budding and binary fission. What is binary fission? Binary fission is the division of parents into equal half. Two equal half. Example is amoeba, paramecium, hydra, etc. Okay, many other. And budding. What is budding? Budding is the process in which an outgrowth is produced from parent's body that separates to give rise to a new individual yeast, as well as it takes place in yeast as well as the hydra. Okay. Now, if a bud is grown externally, यानी कि बाहर की तरफ अगर bud grow हो रहा है, then it is known as externally. Okay, it is known as external budding in case of yeast. Okay, but if bud grows within the parent body, it is known as internal. Okay, internal budding, like gamule formation, gamete formation, gamule formation, sponges. It takes place in sponges and merchantia. Okay, after that we are having many spore formation. All these diagrams you people had seen. This is chlamydomonas, multiple fission takes place in this. This is conidia formation in yeast, in penicillium. Conidia formation takes place in penicillium. This is budding in hydra, whereas this one is, what is this one? Gamule in sponges. Gamete formation or gamule formation in sponges. Okay, now in asexual reproduction we are also having some vegetative reproduction, but before coming to this, I'll tell you something about sporulation or spore formation. Okay, spore formation or sporulation. Sporulation is also known as sporogenesis. Okay, it is also known as sporogenesis. Now, what is this spores? Spores are the reproductive cells of many multicellular organisms. Okay, these are the reproductive cells of many multicellular organism, and these spores are capable of producing daughter cells by their growth. Okay, these spores grow and develop many daughter cells. Okay, now in case of algae and fungi, they are having different types of spores. Algae is also having spores, whereas fungi is also having spores. In case of algae or algae, we used to say spore zoospores. These spores are named as zoospores. Okay, these zoospores are motile and flagellated. Means they are motile, movable. They move from one place to another, and they are flagellated. They contains flagella for movement. Okay, and the example is chlamydomonas. Next one is conidia. These are non-motile, exogenous spores are formed. Okay, in case of conidia, exogenous spores are formed, and for example it takes place in case of penicillium. Okay, there are many other types of budding, other types of asexual reproduction, for example fragmentation and regeneration. Okay, in case of fragmentation is the breaking of parent body into several fragments. Whole parent body is divided into different several fragments. Okay, and each of these fragment develops into mature individual. ईच फ्रेगमेंट, एक एक टुकड़ा जो है वो एक अलग ऑर्गेनिज्म का प्रोडक्शन करता है. फॉर एग्जांपल स्पायरोगायरा. ओके, स्पायरोगायरा एंड सी स्टार. ओके, these organisms body is divided and it give rise to each and every part give rise to new organism. Whereas in case of regeneration, the formation of a whole new body of an organisms from a cut or broken part or the parent body. For example, it is hydra as well as planaria. So regeneration and fragmentation we had seen. In case of asexual reproduction, what we had seen? We had seen binary fission, budding, sporogenesis or sporulation, fragmentation and regeneration. These are the 5 types of asexual reproduction. Okay, now we can see that asexual reproduction also takes place in plants. Okay, in plants also asexual reproduction takes place. Now in this case, vegetative unit possess the capability of producing new plants. Okay, vegetative units will have the capability to produce new plants. For example, root, stem, leaves and meristematic tissues. Root, stem, leaves and meristematic tissue, they grow and form a new plant. Okay, and this method is called vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction. Vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction means from the vegetative parts. You can see this eye bud. Okay, from the eye bud new plant is grown. From the nodes of ginger new plant is grown. From the outermost boundary of the bryophyllum leaves new plant is growing. Here offset of the bulbous new plants are being growing. Okay, so these are again of asexual reproduction in plants is of 2 types. One is natural vegetative propagation. Natural, okay, in this case the natural method, it is a natural method of propagation. The vegetative propagules of plant develops into new plants under suitable conditions. It is done by roots in sweet potato. Underground stem, it includes rhizomes. Example is banana and ginger. Bulbous in garlic, onion, tubules, potato, corns in clocacia. Creeping stem includes suckers. Okay, all these are the natural vegetative propagules. Natural vegetative propagules. And in case of artificial is of 3 types. Do you remember what are these 3 types? Fragmentation we had seen about the asexual reproduction. Okay, bulbous we had seen. Fragments we had seen. In this we had also studied about terror of Bengal. Previously we had studied about terror of Bengal. What is this terror of Bengal? This is a aquatic plant, which plant is also known as water hyacinth. It is having the high reproductive rate. It can cover whole standing water. Okay, and it does not allow the sun rays to enter inside the plant, inside the pond, and the animals which is present in the pond will be dying because of scarcity of food. Okay, now artificial vegetative propagation is of 4 types. Okay, it is not 3, it is 4 types. One is cutting, layering, grafting and micropropagation. Micropropagation is also known as tissue culture. Micropropagation, what are they? Cutting, for example, leaves of bryophyllum, roots of tamarind, stem of grapes, sugarcane and rose. Okay, these all are the examples of cutting. Rose plants, all of you know, it is a well known example. Okay, now in case of layering, jasmine, grapes, lychee, oranges. Okay, in these plants layering takes place. Okay, next one is grafting. Grafting is also done in rose, apple, pear and mango, whereas micropropagation takes place in banana, orchids and ornamental plants. Banana. Okay, Now we are going to start with the sexual reproduction. Okay, sexual reproduction requires two different individuals, that is male and the female. In this case, gametes are being produced. Okay, gametes are being produced. These gametes are produced by different organisms, or we can say the opposite sexes. Okay, these gametes fuse to form zygote. Okay, the gametes, two gametes will fuse to form a zygote, and zygote will grow into a new organism. Okay, now tell me, the zygote will contain the genetic material of father or the mother, or both? Okay, what is the answer? What do you think it can be? It can be both, because it is produced by the fusion of both male as well as the female organism. Okay, now there are different individuals, okay, of opposite sexes, is known as sexual reproduction. When they fuse together, then it is known as sexual reproduction. Now there are different phases in life cycle of a sexually reproducing organism. Okay, sexually reproducing organism mainly undergoes through three different life cycles. One is the juvenile phase, reproductive phase, and the senescence phase. Juvenile phase, reproductive phase, and the senescence phase. Juvenile phase is before maturation. Okay, reproductive phase is after the maturation or when the menstrual cycle starts. Okay, and senescence is the finishing of that menstruation. We can say that menarche. Okay, menarche in case of females. Clear? Now there are different organisms depending on the capacity of reproducing or breeding. Okay, breeding it is. Now, some animals remain reproductive throughout the season, okay, throughout the year. They are known as continuous breeders. For example, human beings, okay. Whereas other organisms, they become active during a particular season. So they are known as seasonal breeders. For example, dog, frog, lizard, birds. Okay, they are known as seasonal breeders. Okay, now during reproductive phase in non-primate animals, what takes place? Oyster cycle takes place, while in case of primates, menstrual cycle takes place. Okay, now if we study in detail about the reproduction, it is having three stages. Okay, three different stages in the reproduction. So these are also known as events. Okay, these are the events in sexual reproduction. All of you remember it. It is pre-fertilization, fertilization, and post-fertilization. Pre-fertilization, fertilization, and post-fertilization. Okay, so pre-fertilization is the formation of gametes. Okay, it is different in different bodies. Male body, gamete is being produced. Female body, gamete has become matured. Okay, produced as well as matured. In case of fertilization, the male gamete as well as the female gamete will fuse together to form a new organism. And post fertilization events, after the fertilization of gametes, what are the changes taking place inside the body? That is called as post fertilization events. We had studied it in detail previously. Okay, so I'll just tell in brief about pre-fertilization events. First one is gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Okay, pre-fertilization events, we are having two different events taking place in it. It is gametogenesis and gamete formation. Gametogenesis is the formation of gamete. Okay, and the formation of gamete, we are having two different bodies. One is the male, another one is the female. So male as well as female, the gamete is being produced in their individual bodies, and these gametes are haploid in nature. These gametes are haploid in nature. You can see these gametes Now these gametes are of three types. First one is isogamous or isogametic, we can say. Isogametes, we cannot identify the male as well as the female gametes. Okay, we cannot identify from this which one is the male and which one is the female. It is not identifiable. Okay, these are known as isogamete. Iso means similar. Next one is the heterogametes is different gametes of here the example is given of algae, fucus and algae. Now here you can say the female gamete as well as the male gamete. Okay, female gamete as well as the male gamete. This one is female gamete and this one is male gamete. So female gamete is bigger as compared to the male gamete. Okay, here in this case also we can say this is also heterogamete. Heterogamete is again, this is the ovum. The structure you can say this is the ovum, these two are the sperms, or this is the female gamete, this one is the male gamete. They are totally structurally different from each other. ठीक है, ये दोनों एक दूसरे से totally अलग होते हैं, different होते हैं. ठीक. Now the process of gametogenesis, the gamete is being produced in different bodies. Okay, after that transfer of gamete takes place. Okay, transfer of gamete takes place. After transferring, fertilization takes place. Now we'll have a new terminology for this word, which is known as fertilization. Fertilization, in this the fusion of gametes takes place. Fusion of gametes takes place. You can say that the organisms are having different pattern of fusion. Okay, or the cells are being of different types. Okay, we'll see all this in detail in our future upcoming chapters. Okay, now here you can say that here one terminology is given, homothelic and monoecious. Okay, homothelic or monoecious, it takes place in plants. Okay, now we can say that the term this used to denote the bisexual condition of heterothelic or dioecious are the term used to describe unisexual conditions, means the same flower which contains both the gametes are monoecious and the different one is the dioecious. Okay, when there are two different types of gametes present, then it is known as dioecious. Dioecious means two. We'll study it in detail in our future chapters also. Now, the gamete produced in the male body is haploid and in female body is haploid. These two when combined, it will form the diploid one. Now, we are having one example of parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is the organism in which a single body both the gametes are present, male as well as the female. Both the gametes are present in a single body. It is the example is your earthworm. Okay, earthworm. Clear? So up to here we had studied about two stages, which is pre-fertilization as well as fertilization. If you are having any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, you can ask me. Next one is post-fertilization events. Post-fertilization events are which takes place after the formation of zygotes. Here you can see we all had done all these things. A gamete has been transferred. Pollination, we'll study it in our next class. Post-fertilization event is the zygote formation and embryogenesis. Embryogenesis is the formation of embryo or the placenta. Okay, about all these topics, upcoming topics, we are going to study in our next class. Okay, I hope all of you understood what I taught you right now. I'll make some questions on these topics just for checking how much you remember. So please reply Okay, reply the questions and try to join the classes. Okay, so stay home, stay alive, be happy. Till then, good day. Goodbye.